Those are cool.
All right, let me know when cue me when it's done. Oh, we're fine. Okay.
I mean, for me, it's trees. Really, yeah. And that's wage. Athens is fine. It's a big city. There's a lot of history, and it's worth checking out. But done right, you could do Athens in a couple of days. Okay.
You have the soup. You want to have the soup? Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Retireholics. We are here at the Wealth at Work Conference.
You're not going to sing today, are you?
In National Harbor. Is that where we are?
Yeah.
What fucking state are we in, man? Some state that you can't bring booze in over the state line or something. I don't know.
State of
Euphoria.
euphoria.
Might just be a general rule for Drizzly is that you can't bring alcohol
across
over
state lines. We're coming out to you from, another industry conference, not just any industry conference, the Wealth at Work conference put on by the guys and girls at Advisor 2X. If you haven't been to it, you should check it out. It's a pretty good one. We got a beer of the episode today to kick off the show. I haven't done that in a while. We're all drinking the same drink here. It's called Tropicana. It's a citrus IPA. And Chad, you just had a little. You just had a little review, Chad, under your breath. How do you feel about this beer?
Baltimore.
It's
Baltimore.
shitty.
It's not good.
It's not good. It was described wonderfully.
Fearless, bold, and independent.
Yeah, it definitely is fearless.
You know what? It's better than the Malort I just sipped.
I'm sure. I can't wait for Petros to try the Malort. It's gonna be wonderful.
Don't go and buy this at
Delicacy,
home.
buddy.
Not recommended. We're going to go straight into headlines. Headlines, Brandon, if we could.
To say about
There's a graphic happening right now. Forgive me.
That's a dip. I guess I can finally try it. You should. It's wonderful. You're going to love it.
And the first headline we have
That's not good.
is one that I kind of wanted to avoid, but a couple things here. This one's from Planet Advisor magazine. It's titled Voya focusing on pooled employer plans and multiple employer plans with advisors, says top exec. This comes from the Leaf House conference. Apparently a Voya representative there said that they're eyeballing $90 billion in, they loosely termed it like pooled employer plan like type plans, which means
is
it
their
also
multiple
includes
employer plan,
multiple
is what they're
employer
getting at.
plans. I will also, though, piggyback on this. Our good friend Mike DeCenso, pooled employer plan supporter, or shall I say brainwashed by the aliens this man is, sent me a private message and said, ooh, check out a Census. A Census is approaching $1 billion in pooled employer plans. And the reason why they send me these messages is say, look, JD, you've been the naysayer, but you are wrong, okay?
They're dominating.
I'm curious what y'all think about this. I'm going to say I'm not wrong, okay? First of all, a Census. Do you know how many billions of dollars a Census has in terms of total plans, like not the pooled employer plans?
No, but it's a big number.
742 billion, okay? So when Mike DeCenso sends me an email that says they have 1 billion in PEPs, do you know what one is of 742? It's less
very
than
small
1%.
amount.
I'm not a mathematician, but it's far less than 1%. It's actually less than half of 1%. I do not consider that pooled employer plan success. Am I crazy, Petros?
50 basis points.
Okay. Voya.
That's a success story, though. If another record keeper came and said they were brand new to the marketplace, and they came and said, we've got $1 billion in assets under management right now, we'd go, that's pretty good turnaround for a quick time period.
But a Census is not brand new to the market.
No, but still it's another.
They already have their sales channels. They already have
That's
their
true.
strategic
Does it say
partners.
if it's organic too, or is it just shuffling
Converted
around
assets.
from other?
Doesn't.
I'm not going to
really
put
wanna
it
know
in the.
that.
I have
Then
to
I'll be
drink for this.
impressed.
I'm not going to put it in the Aon paychecks category because I don't know. Maybe, Justin, maybe that's true. I consider those both left pocket, right pocket kind of pooled employer plan success. I'm not so certain if that's the case.
One thing it did say I remember seeing is a lot of them are coming down market. They're
Yes.
just not telling you what the assets are.
Which that's good because that's what they
That's
were
what it was
built
designed
for in the
for.
first place.
Exactly.
But let me go to the Voya one now. So Voya at Leaf House says, oh, we're approaching 90 billion or whatever. We all know this, right? And they're not referring to just pooled employer plans. They're referring to multiple employer plans. Do you how many millions of or billions of dollars in assets do you think Voya had in multiple employer plans pre-pooled employer plans coming to the market, pre-2019?
A lot.
I don't know. Just tell us.
60 million? 60 billion?
Didn't they just win the, I'm blanking on the name, group out of Arizona. Transamerica had their MEP. Damn.
Bing, bing.
And they just won that relationship, I'm pretty sure. And so that TriNet, that's going to bring over a large portion of assets.
Well, we'll see. I think we'll leave this category. Actually, I want to get your thoughts on it as a third-party administrator, but what I see as success, or what the industry tries to claim as success, is all these new relationships, all these new products that are coming.
Right.
These are all the press releases we get. This company is partnering with this company to offer this pooled employer plan because they see this target market that they're going after, or these captured advisors of this broker dealer, or whatever it is. All that stuff kind of makes sense to me. I still think those are kind of swinging for the fences, winging a prayer kind of there's no proof to back up that those are going to be successful and get the assets. So that's when, Chad, these people come to me with these articles going, well, look here, JD, here are the assets. And they reference paychecks, they reference Aon, which I think I owe 2 drinks for now because I'm thinking that stands for something. And now they reference Voya, and they reference the Census, and I'm telling you, first 2 are left pocket, right pocket, and the other 2 are simply, they already had that business model. Like it's not a new thing. Therefore, I say no. Someone out there show me some actual success of new pooled employer plans getting to some type of scale. In general, pooled employer plans, Spectrum Pension Consulting, did I get that right?
Spectrum Pension Consultants.
Oh, no, that's close enough. That's
It's very
solid.
close.
You should see what people call our firm sometimes. Are you thumbs up or thumbs down on this pooled employer plan? Where do you stand on all this?
All right, so big picture stuff. Coverage matters, right? Coverage is the issue in this country when it comes to retirement plans.
Love this.
All right.
I'm going to stay quiet for a little while, but love it.
Okay, so coverage gap is real, but it's not real in the large employer space.
Right.
You go to employers of 500 workers and above, fully 88% are covered by workplace retirement plans. In the small employer market, that drops to 58%. There is a 30 percentage point disparity between large and small.
We don't allow real facts on this show.
You don't allow
Gotta
facts at
make
all?
them up.
No stats.
We
Well,
get
thanks.
this.
Well, you're taking me at my word for these statistics, right?
All right.
We totally get this, and this is why the government was convinced to put pooled employer plans in place.
100%, right? So you're asking, are they good or bad? If it drives coverage in a favorable direction in the small employer space, and only time's going to tell on that, then there's no doubt the outcome's going to be positive, in my opinion. The question is, how successful will that be? To your point, JD, the numbers aren't there yet. So,
Well, I'll jump on your thing a little bit here. I think that you're in for a shock. I think most of the industry took the pooled employer plans and actually created products and solutions towards takeover plans.
Yep.
And
Because they're
very-
asset gatherers.
that's the issue.
And very few of them, built a product that was built for startup plans or to change this coverage gap. I've said several times, I think the congressman and woman in the Washington District of Columbia people
Nice, very nice.
got hoodwinked
That was well done.
by the pooled employer plan aliens because they sold them that this is going to be for startups and to change the coverage gap, and that's really not where the industry is taking it.
So
Smart. They don't even have one yet. And that's
part of it is also the economic model, right? The incentives for advisors, record keepers, and to a lesser extent even TPAs in our space has largely been.
Gotcha.
Try a little
Welcome to
sip.
the
There's that
Lord,
thing right in front of you.
Petros.
Just a little
Okay, so hold
sip.
on, just so I'm
This was
clear.
bad.
That's the dirty word.
Yeah.
You said an
It's
acronym.
any
Check
acronym,
me,
buddy.
we're good. Any
Oh, any acronym?
Any
Yeah.
acronym.
Oh my
So
gosh, guys!
a
all
little
right.
sip.
I had to.
No one told me the rules.
This is going to be his first Malort. Give it a test. Just a little
this is-
tiny
this is
sip.
Do a swig.
I mean, you got to get enough to taste it, though.
Oh, he'll taste it.
Just
Set
give it
down.
time. Give it a moment.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets worse. Yeah.
You guys drink this?
You're welcome.
Not my choice. That's why it's a
So,
penalty.
back to your point.
Trust me, it's gonna get worse.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
You were saying instead of just the
Can I
coverage
open one of
gap,
those?
Yeah.
Okay.
what was the next benefit for this? Do you remember your thoughts?
1 second.
Okay. Jeez.
Needs to get that down.
Oh my gosh, seriously, I don't know how you guys do it. The incentives are an issue. because the financial rewards have to be there for service providers to step in. That's true of any
You're
industry,
just simply
right?
saying small plans aren't profitable.
That's
so
the
it's
issue,
okay.
right? That's the struggle is the economic model. Now, in Secure, they fix that to some extent. Secure 2,
Tax credits.
right? Exactly. So it's a major step in the right direction. But I think advisors increasingly have to be more incentivized to engage with smaller employers.
And you think pooled employer plans help bridge that for them?
I think there's too little data yet to confirm whether or not pooled employer plans have been successful.
Fair statement. I mean, I think
I'm a
they've been.
skeptic. I mean,
think they've been
naturally, I'm wired that way,
advertised.
right? To be a skeptic. I think in this profession,
But-
we have to be a bit, right?
I've fought this one a number of times, Petros. So I'm gonna, and you as a third-party administrator know, cost is almost never an issue for us in setting up a startup plan. Almost never in 15 years.
Yes.
Almost never. What is the operational worry of how this small business is actually going to run this plan. They don't understand eligibility. They don't understand definition of compensation. They don't understand when to process payroll and how to calculate the match. It's those things that I think have been the headwind to small businesses offering a plan. They feel like we're not big enough for it. We don't have the scale to run it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it is cost, nor do we see the pooled employer plan being less expensive. So Secure 2.0, 1.0, both offered credits to pooled employer, well, we'll say startups in general.
Right. Yeah.
It counts.
You offer
Because I said 1.0. But so I'm on the other side of this saying it's not a cost issue, it's an operations issue. These people are fearful of what it's going to take on their end to run these plans.
But
The surveys
that is a
confirm that.
problem. But
Yeah.
that's a problem
Cost
because
and administrative complexity are the two drivers that are impediment, the two most
Agreed.
significant drivers for small employers to adopt.
But the pooled employer plan solution to the administrative burden is to have a 316.
Which has been there all along.
A pooled plan provider, although that's not really relieving a lot of administrative burden for them, but then more importantly, a 316 that's put in there. And by the way, even in the pooled employer plan space, 316s are a spectrum. You have to read the contract to find out what they're
Nice
actually
usage.
I like that, actually.
Yeah.
going. Oh,
Please say that one more time, actually.
They are.
Intended.
They're on a spectrum.
And then put it down, bum.
Spectrum. Other way, Mark. There you
And
go.
so this has got to make sense to you. Let me ask you this as a
You presume that.
as a third-party administrator, we work in startup plans. I don't know if you guys do much. Yeah, you do. Okay. So
It's important that we all do that.
do you think a lot of your 8-person, 10-person startup plans like the idea of adding on a 316
So
and the cost that goes along with that?
many years ago, when I first got into the space in 2005, my business partner, who also happens to be my brother,
Great man.
wonderful guy, he conveyed to me that retirement plans are sold, they're not bought.
I agree.
Okay. So part of it is what gets sold to a plan sponsor, the economic buyer of our services, and selling them on a value of something that's a code
good
section, the
salesperson
316.
that cares about their client and sees the value of a 316 can sell it to them. I get that, or put it there. But I was looking for the other answer, which is I think in general, most people are trying to help a small company set up a plan, and we're trying to minimize costs for
Yep.
them.
And-
And a lot of times, I think if you looked across the country, you'd find that most plans under $500,000 in assets don't pay for a 316
And they don't want
fiduciary.
one.
That's a
And they want-
luxury.
right.
It's a
What they
luxury
do want
service.
is what we were chatting
in
about
the
a
single
moment
employer
ago.
market at that level, at a $500,000 plan asset level and below.
And how
There's
many
no
of the
market for it.
standalone? How
There's
many
no-
of the standalone startup plans or very small plans have a pooled plan provider role or a plan administrator role? Well, none. It's a trick question. These are all add-ons.
Right, that's
These are
right.
premium services. Isn't that funny that the product that we're trying to solve the coverage gap with is actually a premium, more expensive product? It seems backwards to me. And by the way, if you worked in Washington, District of Columbia, in the government, what you were sold to put these regulations through on pooled employer plans, you were sold on the concept of scalability. You
That's
were
true.
sold. The whole reason they voted
There's no
for
doubt.
this shit
That's a big part
was
of it.
because you told them that if you gathered together 100 small businesses, you could get $100 million pricing at some point, and you could get the little guys the same pricing the big guys get, which is, by the way, a total crock of shit. It's not a reality. that whole scalability thing and the lower, because PEPs are more expensive than the standalone plans.
If they get bigger plans and then bring in smaller ones, that could be a true statement.
No, because inevitably it has an extra roll, PPP, an extra roll, 316.
Yeah.
It's a more expensive. It's just, you can't change physics. It's a more expensive product.
You can change physics.
Apples to apples.
I still think it's a little bit too soon to tell.
Well,
I think they're gonna pivot. Right? They're going to pivot in terms of what they're going after and the effects, and they're going to create some scalability. I do believe that. I don't think it's going to have the impact that everybody thinks or many think.
I don't think
But
most
I do
people
believe you're right. We're too short into this window.
Right.
Into this path to figure out what it's going to be.
We'll wrap
going to be
this. We'll move on to this lawsuit thing. But here's what I think right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you see
I think we know what you think.
Well, no. When you see new thought. When you see these press releases about new pooled employer plans coming out, and whether it's from Voya or Empower or a Census or a deal with American funds or whatever it is, everyone's just trying to hedge their bets. No one really knows, like to your point, whether this is actually going to succeed or not succeed. And so don't misconstrue people starting pooled employer plans, big companies, for them endorsing that this is the way to go. They're just trying to make sure that if this thing does take off, it's like playing roulette and you put your chips on all the things. That's all they're fucking doing.
I think there's merit in that, but I don't necessarily think that's a problem. Financial product innovation is, to the extent that it's helping to drive the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish, get more people covered, get more people saving, get on a path to broad-based financial dignity when people choose to stop working. So if we stick to those principles, then the financial product is a detail to help achieve that outcome.
To that point, it would be way better to, instead of seeing, oh, we have $1 billion, I don't care about that you change the coverage gap.
That's right.
What statistical
What's the
numbers
effect?
can you provide that
That's
show
exactly
evidence of that?
Yeah.
And
Because
so-
right now, I feel like if they showed it, it'd be like, well, that's kind of not.
It'd be fun to see real statistics as to how the state mandates have done versus something like this, the pooled employer plan community. It'd be fun to see.
I mean, are we not concerned on some level that if the industry doesn't get its act together in terms of improving coverage, that the government will require and
They're going to. We got 14 states in it now.
Oh no,
yes.
I'm talking at a federal.
I know it's going to go to a. That's my point.
concern. Is if it's not solved, in my opinion. Okay, just to clarify, if it's not solved by the private sector in the years ahead, it will be solved at a federal level.
Is that not a good thing?
Or I should say, it will be forced at a federal level. I don't know if it's going to solve.
It's possible that it gets forced at a federal level, though, with a bit of a hybrid action to it, to where the private industry can benefit too, much like what happened in California. You could have a federal mandate, but also allow for a 401k plan to meet that mandate. That could be phenomenal for our industry.
And that's fair. Depending on, my concern is if we go down that path eventually, it may not yield the outcome that we want. So there's risk and fear there. I would just presume it's a much better thing for us in the private sector to engage with small businesses, with startup employer plans, and find a way to make it economical for them. And
everything you said right there, I totally agree with 100%. And was right on point. But you never mentioned pooled employer plan in that statement, which I agree. You don't need a pooled employer plan to do what you just did.
100%.
And I don't think pooled employer plans are the answer to that coverage gap. That's all I'm saying.
And that's fair. They may not be. But I don't think there's a problem with financial product innovation that leads to these outcomes.
Yeah, we need to. We need to continue to try to innovate. Absolutely.
We don't have time for today, but there can be problems. You said earlier you need to be skeptical.
Always.
So put on your skeptic lens when you look at pooled employer plans and everyone out there, and start to ask yourself, where could these things go in the wrong direction for us as an industry? And I think you might come upon some things that are worth fighting for. Okay, $61 million settlement. This is at the National Association of Plan Advisors, written by the best dude to review lawsuits in my mind, is Nevin Adams, because he has attention to detail. He really looks into all the little nuances of these cases. We've got a $61 million settlement. This is by General Electric. Am I getting this right?
Yep.
And
largest one ever, right?
Largest one ever. I usually push against these things in favor of the plan sponsor, the employer. These people were serving up like their own investments, weren't they?
And
Yep.
paying off debt with it.
And doing what?
Paying off debt.
With
the investment
With the
dollars.
like, yeah, if you, I'm pretty sure.
So this clearly was a
Wait, just for the people in the room that didn't read the article, can you give a little background here?
help out. Can you
Yeah,
help me out a
Justin,
little
I'm
bit?
doing it for our audience.
Justin just hit it. It's General Electric Asset Management was the asset management company. I stayed away from that acronym. And yeah, a large portion of the balance inside their 401k retirement plan was sitting in these proprietary investments. And the employee stepped up and said, that wasn't in our best interest. You're underperforming the market. And you're doing so that you can hold on to our assets, apparently pay down debt with it.
Also, they were underfunded on their
DB.
Yeah.
nice.
You baited him perfectly with that one. So there's a slew of issues there, hence why it was $61 million.
Well, you see that too. It was estimated at $284 million loss.
So wait, hold on. But I'm curious. So the $61 million.
So they
Is
settled
this
for
to make
61.
people whole? Is this to write the like? Is it going directly to?
Well, we know how much is going to
Well,
attorneys.
A third
Well, a
goes
third
to
goes
the
to
attorneys.
Okay.
Plus
Third
other-
goes to the attorneys.
$40 million is doing what? Going into the plan,
Yeah.
cutting checks to participants.
Yep.
Like, okay.
Yeah, restoring them.
But what doesn't
That
make
is a good
sense to me
question.
though,
Does it
if I
go into the
remember
plan?
reading it correctly, it said
can't.
the overall loss that was estimated at 284 million. If that's right, how do you get from 284 to 61? And
They
call it
settle
okay?
because
Yeah,
they
you
don't think they're going
settle.
to get to 280.
Make a deal.
That's just wow.
He's-
Let's
we
make
are-
a deal.
Hey,
Yeah.
technical question. That can't go into the plan. That's got to be checks cut to these
Yeah,
participants.
think how long that's
If
going to
it's
take.
a settlement,
Tracking
right?
all
You
those
gotta
people down.
Ooh,
like a-
that's a solid.
I don't know the
question.
answer to that, but
Deal?
Justin said it, and I was like, huh.
You're not
Is there a
putting-
phone in front of
You're
us
not
there?
putting it in.
Who we
Hey,
calling?
what's Nevin's
I'm
number?
calling Petros.
You're
wanna call
not
my
putting it as a
Honest, no.
It's not going in as a qualified non-elective contribution, right? No.
No,
No.
That is interesting.
it's not hitting the plan.
I will have to. Hey, someone will let us know.
Homework.
Someone will
I
let
still
us
have
know.
homework because it wasn't TriNet that I said earlier. It's somebody else, and I can't come up with the name right now.
I'm gonna totally talk out of my ass right now. I think it's possible that in some type of like correction or mistake or a settlement or a lawsuit that you could give this money back to the plan and it can be distributed amount. I think that's not.
I mean, when
far-
you're making corrected distributions or lost earnings calc, yes, but that's not what this is. This is a lawsuit.
I don't know. That'd be interesting. We'll find out. We'll get back to you next week.
I guess you consider
Get
it
back to you next week.
Chat GPT.
Oh, welcome back to the Lord.
Malort. Yeah, we'll go to Malort.
Oh my
Before
gosh.
you take this sip of
do you
Malort,
want, hold on.
do you ever think with your clients, do you concern yourself with them? Do you lay awake at night wondering if one of your clients is going to be involved in some lawsuit? And then what? Has that ever happened? Do you worry about this, or do you just say no? I'm a small
He's
market
got
guy.
two young kids. He goes to bed. He's in a sleep, man. He's asleep.
100%.
Yeah.
If I need to sleep, a little melatonin. Generally, I don't
You're
even
out.
need that. Yeah.
Do you worry about litigation for your clients?
No, actually, when it comes to our clients, I do not. In a broader sense, I worry about litigation headlines and the issues those create because, again, when we talk about what might scare off small employers to plan adoption, headline risk is a real thing.
Yeah.
And the perception that it creates is that the Employee Retirement Income Security Act of 1974, as later
Nice.
amended, you like that?
That was impressive.
You still
Right.
owe us a drink though.
I
You're not getting
do.
by with that
I
one.
know.
I kind of want to take a Malort shot. Just
Hey, you can
for
take a
doing
sake
that.
shot if you like.
It's already perceived as complicated. So the last thing we want is to add fuel to the fire,
Yeah.
and headline risk is real. So that's where, in the bigger picture sense, I've got some concerns. But in terms of our book of business, no, I'm not worried about our clients.
Let's
on
talk
this one.
about Spectrum.
Okay. You
Yeah,
want one
take
of
a
these?
sip. Thank you.
do,
Don't dodge it.
Do you want to
Let's
do
talk
an
about
intro?
Spectrum.
Well past it.
Spin the wheel.
Oh, you want to do that?
What?
Wheel of ice.
Spin the
Okay,
wheel?
break it up. I like that.
Give Petros some time.
We're gonna go ahead and spin the wheel
Let
of
that marinate.
Chad, you gotta
ice.
spin it. I was really excited.
One, this is
You gotta
terrible.
hold this.
Oh,
Two, it gets more terrible over time.
Yeah, yeah.
Now you're cool.
So I'm gonna fall off. Yes. JD.
Okay. All
You're
right.
welcome. We didn't pair up. We didn't
All right.
pair you up with anybody. We should have.
do
That's
we
a
have
failure
a,
on my part.
We have
I
a
appreciate
game?
that failure.
Huh?
Do we have a game too?
A game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Sort of.
All right.
I
I just worried we were
All
forgetting
failures
shit.
can be
you know?
corrected.
We're good.
So,
As I drink this Smirnoff
Oh,
Ice,
finally
pick up on
done
that
with
at all.
that.
Petros,
Gosh.
help the audience understand Spectrum. size of the firm, total clients, total employee. Give us a taste of kind of where you guys are at, where you're located.
Wait, real quick.
What color Lamborghini?
Since the audience
you drive?
doesn't know, he's the managing director and CEO of Spectrum Pension Consultants, and also a consultant in Intelligence, since JD forgot the intro.
Everybody knows who he is.
That's true. That's true.
Tell us about the firm. That was your
Flattered, thank you.
introduction.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for
I had a
being
much
here.
better one for it.
That was a
but-
two.
Wow, I can't get fired for that.
How did you pronounce his last name? I didn't hear that.
Koumantaros. I got to look at my
close?
notes again. Koumantaros.
I mean, I've heard worse.
Koumantaros.
Koumantaros,
Damn it.
Oh, nice.
His LinkedIn has a little button that you click and it says it, so we checked ahead of time just to make sure.
Chad, I'm impressed.
Of course.
Thank you.
Tell everyone a bit about the firm, just so we can get a feel for it.
Sure. So, Petros Koumantaros, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Spectrum Pension Consultants Incorporated. Our firm was founded by my father, actually, back in the mid-'70s in the wake of when
He sounds really.
the Employee
why did I
Retirement
just-
Income Security Act of '74 was signed into
Rest
law.
in peace.
Do you guys
We
have the same dad?
incorporated in '78, and tragically, my father passed on in 2005. My brother Yanis was already involved in the business at that point. I joined the firm that same year, and since then we've grown both organically and through some strategic acquisitions. There's now collectively 6 third-party administration and/or record-keeping businesses that roll up under what we colloquially refer to as the Spectrum family of companies.
Oh, really?
We also have.
Yeah.
Still
nice.
operating
to
well, not
say that.
independently,
I
but
think you're the
under
first
their
guest that's gotten
different names.
smarter as you drink than
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
and dumber.
Eloquent word.
It's like, you're not saying acronyms anymore the more you drink.
This is true.
Yeah, you're getting
Never
better.
This is getting
Before.
better. Never seen that before.
I'm a rule follower. What can I say?
About how many employees you guys have?
Collectively within the family of companies right now, just over 60.
So we're 60.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do they all operate under Spectrum, though? That confused me a little bit. I didn't know that
No,
you had
that's-
different business entities.
Well, and we changed our strategy. The inorganic growth strategy a few years ago, we changed a little bit. We keep the predecessor brands intentionally separate. One of the things we observed with acquisitions in our space is they create disruption. Disruption's inevitable. So one of the things you can do to mitigate disruption is to continue operations as before. We look for high quality performing businesses that are dropping a substantial amount to the bottom line based on a financial model that we've put together. And then from that, presuming the business stands on its own merits, then we would look to potentially make a deal with the exiting owners. And we try to minimize disruption. We try to keep things
You make a deal?
as intact as possible. And I would love, JD, to speak with you when circumstances allow about potential opportunities.
I once
if you're
bought,
open to it.
I once bought another
gonna sell
third-party
you a timeshare,
administrator
too.
firm, so I acquired another shop once, and
Once.
fairly recently. And I never used any of those fancy words.
He's like, sup?
I said, I would like to buy your firm.
I'm gonna buy
Wrote the
you.
contract on
They're
it.
like,
briefcase.
yes. I'm like, okay.
Well,
And I understand the thought there of keeping that brand in place to avoid disruption, but often the third-party administrators that are looking to be acquired don't have much brand recognition.
but
They're not great.
He doesn't mean brand recognition. He just means don't.
In our case, they were great.
Don't
They were
rock
good.
the boat
Yeah,
with
don't
all the
scare the
current clients.
that's exactly
I get it,
right.
but think of the going off a little bit, but the Verisite acquisition and the rebranding there.
Yes.
Like Verisite had a pretty rough name in the marketplace, and so what did they do? They rebranded under a business that they acquired.
Yes.
Because that business had a great brand recognition.
Yes.
And good reputation.
Do you know that a Census used to be called something else?
Vices.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it had a horrible brand.
That's not an acronym, is it?
Ooh,
Great
it
question.
is.
Are you sure?
I'm almost certain. Going
fact
back to a
check,
conversation
fact
with your
check,
dad, I'm
fact
almost
check.
certain that
We'll have to
is.
fact check that one. We'll put that on the
All right,
burner,
you're
side
in the
burner.
clear.
On the
Okay.
back burner.
Anyways,
I'm
back
not
on
trying to
track.
kiss your
Thanks
ass.
for doing my intro, by the way.
Please don't.
But I look at a lot of my third-party administration peers, think about going to a classic national conference, and I see a pretty similar business model, all across the country. We're doing obvious things, documents, compliance work, testing, prepping 5500s. Some of them these days maybe kind of evolved to a 316 type of solution.
Yes.
Makes sense. We choose to partner with an independent to do that at our firm, but whatever. But with you guys, I've always seen like this entrepreneurial spirit where you are doing your own record keeping still? Do you do this?
We do through 2 of our business entities.
Okay.
And others are pure play third-party administrators.
You have a financial wellness type
do.
of solution. You partner in some way with IntelliSense and do things.
That's correct.
You've got individual retirement account
We do.
solutions. I mean, if I was to say to you,
Wow, they're doing way more than we do.
if I was to, yeah, that's what I mean. If I was to say to you, oh yeah, tell me what all you do that a normal TPA doesn't. Are these the things you would say to me? And let us know more about this. Does that make
It
sense
is.
what I'm saying? You guys are branching out. You're doing other things.
And we are, but it's all focused on helping people to secure and retire with financial dignity. Look, and this sounds a little bit big picture, and I get it. I think we are in one of the most noble professions. We help people to accumulate and save so that when they choose to stop working, they have the ability to retire on their own terms.
Okay, this is great.
So
let's lose all the CEO bullshit
I was
for a second.
going to say,
And
we're
I'll
in
drink for that, on
Washington,
purpose.
and that's a
On
very
purpose.
political
These
answer
are
you
great.
just provided
Okay.
there.
Save that for when CNBC, I'll drink for that too, interviews you. Okay.
He's not going to be able to get through the rest
You're
of the show
doing your
pretty
own
soon.
wellness stuff.
We are.
This is interesting.
No, it's not.
The way I see the way I see wellness coming from some fintech app or
That's just the short end of saying it.
or being delivered through advisors. Now, again, speaking as a third-party administrator, because you guys kind of have an advisor arm, I don't know, you'll speak to this. That, to me, is very innovative, and it makes me think, well, why couldn't third-party administrators be the delivery vehicle of wellness? That wouldn't be a strange planet to live on, like if we did it that way. You think so?
Yeah, that would be a strange
Why?
planet. You have a record-keeping arm.
We
A
do.
traditional compliance-only third-party administrator, to Jeff Atchison's point, stay in your lane. Like, we know what we do well, and the record-keeping community does a great job delivering these types of resources. IntelliSense does a great job with these types of resources. We should not be involved in that.
Well, but you don't have to create it. You could use someone else's that they've
But
created.
in the roles and
It just
responsibilities of
muddies
our
those waters
industry,
so much
I do
more.
not see the compliance administrator being a part of that delivery.
Okay, well then let's talk to Petros. How did you guys see wellness, and where did you see your role? 'Cause
Acquisition. I'm
'cause
gonna
you tried
answer
to
for
do
him.
something. Okay.
It was something that we began offering internally. We partnered up with another
Shaking it
organization to, with respects to Spectrum's financial wellness solution. And it's worked well. There's been a few clients that have adopted it. It hasn't been, though, as widespread adoption as I would have hoped. Enter IntelliSense. I'm an investment advisor representative with IntelliSense Investment Solutions.
That's a mouthful.
You won't let me use
I know.
Yeah,
acronyms lest I.
and you're crushing it.
So in any event, I think financial consultants are uniquely positioned to provide workplace financial planning. I think we really need to change the moniker here around financial wellness to
Love it.
workplace financial
Yeah, of
planning.
course.
Yes.
Right? It's
Yes.
you know, the Federal Reserve did a study saying that that the vast majority, 36% of Americans would struggle to come up with $400 to pay an emergency that arises. That's significant.
We agree.
So-
Workplace is the great place to deliver
It should be
stuff
where
to
it should be.
participants.
It's delivered.
Okay, but I want to talk more about Spectrum's role in this and saying, because most third-party administrators don't take that on.
Many
you
do not,
guys
that's true.
have through your investment advisor
They're not a
rep.
standard third-party administrator.
Okay.
If I were to ask
It's
that
true.
question, would you say that you're delivering it because or as an investment advisor representative or as a record keeping solution
Or as a third-party.
or as a third party administrator? If you had to pinpoint it, just
Where
entertain us. You've got to
absolutely.
shove it into a bucket.
the solution that we have with Spectrum would generally be provided as an extension of our record-keeping arm, admittedly.
That's
Okay.
what I would
That
think.
said, it's also offered as a standalone service, and clients have adopted it. We have clients that have adopted a wellness
They're
only.
not on your record.
So
keeping.
advisors
That's
that
right.
come to you as a compliance administrator
Yes.
could purchase that as a standalone?
They absolutely could.
Okay.
They absolutely, and that's something that we would be happy to do.
You know what
Interesting.
most third-party
Okay. I'm
administrators
wrong
out there
then.
would be confused by and would ask right now is, how is your relationship with financial advisors?
Mm-hmm.
Do you still see them as your distribution, your strategic partners in selling plans? And do they get confused concerned. This sounds like an old fuddy-duddy ASPA concern.
Damn,
But
JD.
answer
for
that.
now.
I'm sure there's
I think
people
you
out there
should
like,
take
wait,
it.
how does he
I gotcha.
compete with them, but also partner with them? Or
So when we went down the path of partnering up with IntelliSense, and when I went through and got the proper advisory licenses
what
to
do you got? A
engage
6 and a
as
63 or
just a
7?
65. I
Okay.
just have a 65. With many of our key advisory relationships, we had sit-downs to explain what we were doing, and we put in place basically some rules of engagement. Because ours is a relationship-intensive business, we recognize that.
Okay.
You know, that said, again, I come back to big principles. It's what are we trying to accomplish? Help people accumulate and save. In the
I think
quest
it's an
for
old school complaint, by the way.
financial dignity. Advisors get that. Advisors are actually incredibly reasonable when you have. In fact, actually, truth be known, don't you think some third-party administrators are reticent to engage with their advisors because they're so concerned that that they may run the risk of biting off the hand that feeds them? Don't you see that as an issue for many third-party administration firms?
Yeah, I
what's
think
the
that
risk?
they stay in their lane out of fear of rocking the boat with
Yes.
that relationship
Right.
that is bringing them
Yes,
opportunity.
of course. But I like what you said. Like, you have clear lines, you have contracts. By the way, we spent most of our career partnering with record keepers who also
Doing the same
offer
thing.
compliance
administration
services.
services.
We seem
Yeah,
to partner just
100%,
fine.
right?
Okay. It sounds to me like maybe the wellness has not completely taken off yet, which I don't think that would be a accusation of your particular product. I think that's true of the entire industry.
I'm a big fan of if ever from a public policy perspective, they allowed employers to provide this as a benefit to their workers, not subject to taxation. So the employer could get a deduction for providing this type of a benefit, and the worker need not declare it as taxable income. If that public policy nut was cracked, I think you'll see more widespread workplace financial planning services.
What money
being
are
offered.
you referring to?
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Like
So
emergency savings
No,
accounts? or what-
financial consulting in the workplace. I think the better evolution of, we refer to as financial wellness, right? I think the better moniker is workplace financial planning.
Planning, yeah.
But you're saying the employer be
Yeah, well-
able to pay for that and get a deduction?
That's correct. So it would be a benefit that's offered just like any other type of benefit,
Yes.
but the benefit provided would not be taxable to the individual employee. Right now, there's a de minimis threshold, and depending on who you ask, maybe it's $100 or so per year that satisfies that satisfies incumbent rules. There's not much
I didn't
planning
know
you could
this.
do
I didn't
around
either.
that.
If I paid 10 grand a year to a vendor to offer wellness to my employees, that's not a business expense for my company?
It would be
That
to you, but
is.
depending on the benefit that's provided to your workers, it may be a taxable
So
benefit
how
to
do you
them.
quantify the benefit that the worker's getting and not make it taxable?
That's
Is what you're
exactly it.
getting
So
at?
if it's just
Shit,
tech,
I've never
it's
thought of
very
that.
different, right? So if it's just tech that, and this is one of the reasons why, unfortunately, in my opinion, so many wellness solutions have fallen a little bit short of their promises because they're trying to thread a proverbial needle. If instead of just providing tech, you paired great technology with people smarts and you actually were engaging in the workplace
A lot of them
to
are
provide
trying to do that.
basic financial plans to people,
A lot of them are putting certified financial planners in cubicles.
But
behind
everything the
phones
employer's
and-
paying is deductible. So I'm
Yeah,
I'm
you're
a
gonna
little
get us
confused
caught
on the
whole tax
benefit to-
You're saying what's provided by the employer to the participant?
So the employer absolutely can deduct this as an ordinary business expense, just like they could deduct, benefit programs that are provided
Yeah.
for healthcare, retirement, and so forth, right? But here, if the benefit provided is beyond this de minimis threshold, then it constitutes a taxable benefit to the worker. And that's the rub that a lot of employers face here is,
Okay,
is
we're going to do this. We're going to stop here, Chad.
Yeah, I
I'm an
don't-
employee at a company. I want financial planning at the workplace. I've got my
You give me-
401k plan fine.
it's offered.
But now I'm going to
I'm
hook up with
leveraging it.
someone at IntelliSense or wherever.
sure.
And you're going to say, hey, let's help you, JD. Answer these questions, go through the stuff. You're going to help me with the budget, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you find out I got 200K over here in an individual retirement account. You want me to roll it into some managed account thing. I put it into that. I make some money. I'm making up a lot of shit here, but I don't understand where the tax problem is. You're
From a
helping me with
participant
financial
level.
planning,
Philosophically, I am
wellness was
entirely
free.
with you. And that's where I think to overcome some of the financial shortfalls that we're seeing across America, it's going to require more of this. Good quality financial consultants engaging, and a way to engage potentially at scale is through a workplace. One of the issues here, however, is the taxability of the benefit to workers.
All right, we'll play a quick game, and then we'll come back to your presentation at today's conference, artificial intelligence, and maybe we'll even kind of weave it back to what we just talked about, because I think providing financial planning through the employer at scale to millions of participants and or employees is pretty close to impossible.
But that's where we got to get.
Right?
When we look at what is needed, that's where we've got to get.
I think it's impossible.
Oh, I did. Sure.
That's where we've got to get.
I think it's impossible until we involve tech and artificial
Agreed.
intelligence.
The right
I don't
tech,
think we
yeah.
can sit certified financial planners
Well,
in cubicles and service millions of people.
To the point that you made earlier, it's because in that space, it's not profitable. And so the time and effort's not going to be there. But if we can use artificial intelligence, scale, if we can create efficiencies, people will come down. The advisor community will come down and compete in that space and deliver resource.
There, in my opinion, there's no doubt.
But we got to get there, and we're
do.
not there yet.
We do.
We're definitely not.
Tech's a big part of it, but it's pairing the right technology with the right personnel. And then, of course, we need a little bit of help on the public policy side for the
Okay.
taxability.
All right, let's play the totally original, never copied, no for dope game. Yeah, there's a graphic happening right now.
We need the TV back up so you can see all the graphics. So what's the game playing the
Hang
intro
on.
on the ukulele?
Oh, you're
All
involved in
right,
this, so be ready.
here's how the game works. Funny that you asked, Petros. This game is kind of a pop culture kind of game. I'll come to you first always. I made up these rules myself years ago. And I'll ask you about something, and you let us know if you're dope with it or you're nope with it, and then why.
Whoa, nope
So-
or dope, huh?
Bullish, bearish?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then why? Okay. First one I got. Deviled eggs.
Wow, you really spent time on this one. This is when you told me you should stop doing the game.
I'm bullish in the right circumstances.
Whoa. What would be the wrong circumstances?
No, but hold on, time out. I like the thought that you had to
Bullish or bearish, but
it's
come
nope
on,
or dope.
join
You
the
have to
game.
say
It's
the
nope or
words,
dope.
So
he's-
you're dope in the right
he's
circumstances.
dope in the right
When are you
circumstances.
nope?
when is the?
Are you going to sit there and eat a few dozen deviled eggs?
Yes.
Whoa, few dozen.
Yes.
Prove it.
Yeah, that's
Bring him
great.
out. I'm in.
That's great. What's your over/under on deviled egg? How many could you have?
That's true. He
Justin?
said a dozen.
I said
I
a few
have?
dozen.
Yeah.
too,
I mean,
you know.
Oh, a few? Oh, yeah,
I'm the
not
taco eating contest champion.
But
you know?
deviled eggs, that's a rich kind of.
I have to scrape off the top.
It depends
of
on what
the,
they got on
the
them.
yolk mixture.
That's
I
just
need,
an
I
egg.
need less than what's always
Has
there.
Joey Chestnut
2
ever
dozen.
attempted this? I can't imagine that he
I
has.
don't know.
put
Justin,
'em on
I
it.
asked you, how many would
like
you
2
eat?
dozen.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, look at me. I'm
No.
bred for this
I'm
stuff.
kind of with
No.
Petros. Prove it. And Chad,
I was like
I don't want to
8,
hear any more out
10.
of you. You said scrape. You scrape it off the top. You're
I do.
disqualified.
Well, hold
from
on.
the start.
Hold on. Let me make one. When I moved to Missouri and at Christmas and
I'm Missouri.
Thanksgiving time and the garage stays cold, what happens is the deviled eggs go from in the house when everybody's grabbing them to in the garage that's 25 degrees.
I feel like in Missouri
and so
they
every
call
time I
them
walk
Jesus
out
eggs,
to get a
don't
new
they?
beer, every time I go out to get a new beer, I grab a deviled egg, toss it in, grab a beer, go back
Do you
inside.
scrape the top?
I do.
Oh, that's not. You're disqualified.
I just need
How
to
do you
know
feel
that.
about
Hard-boiled
this?
egg at that point.
No,
Oh.
it's still in there.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Deviled eggs are disgusting. They're,
Yeah.
just, they're,
Okay.
they're trash. They should not be. Hard-boiled eggs.
Negative Nancy again.
It's not. You cook an egg. Cook it. Don't hard. No, they're gross. They're disgusting.
I
If-
think they're
no.
low cholesterol or something.
Well, I
not
would.
the yolk.
I would.
What? Do they have
the
the yolk?
egg whites
Yes,
probably
that's how
are.
you make
All right.
the
Eggs are the magic of
yeah,
food,
they
though.
are.
This one's gonna go.
You can do by the way, eggs are fantastic, but there's a certain way you can make them, and then there's other ways that you shouldn't, and that.
I'm just glad you guys
hard-boiled are
are all.
gross.
You all eat them.
No,
brought
no,
that
I
up-
will. I will not eat
Oh, okay,
that. No.
'cause I've met a lot of people that are like, oh my god, that's disgusting.
Oh, I love them
Okay, this
so
one's
much.
just for you and only you. I don't want anyone else to chime in on this at all.
This sucks.
We
does
can't.
suck.
We
You
can't not.
show up at a conference,
Yes.
much like this one. And because you're a sponsor, you're part of it, you gain access to the sponsors room, the exhibit hall, pre-conference, the night before the keynote. You know, no one's come in yet. None of the paying people have come in. And you peruse the sponsors' tables and grab swag for yourself. Is this dope or nope? Are you crossing some lines?
Before attendees have had opportunities.
one's
themselves.
even been in
Yeah, that's
here yet.
nope. That's a nope. That's
Yeah.
a hard nope.
And
For
why,
sure.
almost illegal in a sense.
Hard nope.
It's just
Yeah.
like stealing.
What would
Poor
you-
form.
How would you
Yeah.
feel with poor
It's
form?
like first
Thank
chair,
you.
man.
Poor
You gotta
form.
get it.
I
when
thought you
can.
said chloroform.
You do know that's like our host jam. That's what he.
Well, he put on the event. That's a little different. Okay. This is a random one.
Yeah, random.
How do you feel, Petros, about seahorses?
They're like deviled eggs. How do you feel about that?
Not eating them,
Oh.
just, seahorses in general.
Oh,
You
can
nope
you eat
or
a
nope on
Can you eat a
seahorses?
seahorse?
Let's discuss. But
that's an
how do you feel about
aphrodisiac,
seahorses? I mean, just generally. Like,
I sup-
there's no trick question here. It's just
no, I suppose they're fascinating
Yeah?
to.
They
to-
extremely fascinating. I mean, it's one of the most fascinating creatures, beings on the
They're
planet.
not real. That's
I would say. How do you feel about them, Chad?
They are so incredible. When we go to the
amazing.
aquarium and I see them just fluttering and moving around, it's prehistoric to me. It's insane. They're
Justin,
so cool.
you started this.
I've
so
never
I'll
seen them.
finish
I'm
it.
not
Have you ever
even
ate
sure
one?
they exist.
Have you ever?
What do you say?
How many dozen can you eat?
At least 45, you know?
And then the real man of the hour. I know you
It's like
have a
soft shell
passion
crab,
in this
right?
area.
You know,
Petros, this question was really directed at Rob.
I don't even know how we came about
He
this,
has a fascination with seahorses.
no, I don't have. They
Cotton
shouldn't
balls.
exist. They're not like.
They're insane.
Think about what they look like and what they're like. They're.
Yeah, are they about this
got
Their
big?
wings are like this
It
big
doesn't
and they can
matter
support
how-
themselves in
Okay,
water.
but
moving
how-
like
Why
that.
do they never
They
grow
should be
bigger
fins,
than
right?
that?
they have to be feathered, right?
What do you
I
call
think
wings?
what
Fins don't
seahorses.
move like that.
Yes,
Wings
they do.
do.
A fish have fins on the side.
They don't move that
Is
fast.
a seahorse a fish?
Hey,
I do not have domain
I
expertise
have
in this
so many
area.
questions about
What
this
are they,
now. Yeah.
Robbie?
Are they considered a fish?
I think we should all get high and really have a deep conversation about this.
What is it that
No,
Aaron
they're
Rodgers does?
not.
Ayahuasca?
I don't think they
Ayahuasca.
should be real.
Yeah.
They're like a
they
unicorn.
shouldn't
They're like a
exist.
unicorn.
I've never seen them in real life, so I don't even know if they. I don't really.
True, like
Oh,
in the
yeah, he
ocean,
didn't go
like,
to the-
there's no way you can survive
been
in
to
the
an aquarium.
wildlife as a seahorse.
The Springfield Aquarium? Solid.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe have SeaWorld. I didn't see it at SeaWorld.
Well, seahorses.
Seahorse, CL.
By the way,
You know that one.
horses
No.
are also sketchy.
Yeah, do they neigh under the water?
Seahorses
What
are sketchy, but horses.
How are horses sketchy?
Yeah, why are horses sketchy?
I don't know. Have you ever like hung out with a horse?
Yeah.
You ever been like, that's not sketchy?
Horses are kind of magical animals.
If you walk behind them,
That's
they
his-
might.
I think that's his
They
point.
might kick the shit out of you. Like that's sketchy.
Hey,
That's true of lots
Same
of
animals.
animals.
So
Right?
strong.
No, horses are weird, man. They're just built
oh
weird.
boy.
I stand. We're gonna get a lot of hate. We're gonna get a lot of hate mail on
My
that.
sister
coming
owns
after
a
you,
horse,
dude.
and I walk by and I'm like, that's sketchy as shit. I don't
Because
like
they're
it.
terrifying to you.
Well,
I won't
they're
ride a horse.
faster,
Like I'm not
I,
getting
I
bigger
promise
you.
you,
Better looking.
by the end of the day, I will have Googled,
Why do you think cowboys don't exist anymore? Because of horses.
Jesus.
I will Google whether you can eat a seahorse, and I'm afraid to find out the results. But we will do
Cops
this.
on
All right,
cops on horses.
Petros, you
Not a lot of them.
you were brought
Horses
here
are
to
sketchy.
speak. You spoke this morning. Not to put you on the spot.
Did you get paid to speak?
I haven't been to the breakouts. How was the turnout?
Knowledge is my reward.
How was the turnout?
It seemed well received. I was pleased with the turnout. It was engaging, and a lot of questions were asked.
The,
which is, you know,
What was the topic?
title was-
Because we didn't get to make it. Sorry.
all good.
Artificial intelligence, chat, gunner,
Pecker.
police, techno. What are the impacts to our industry? Where is all this going? Give us a summary.
Bring it.
What you discussed and how was the interaction with the audience, et cetera, et cetera. Give us a feel.
So the interaction I felt was positive. The naturally generative AI is disrupting everything
Keep going.
Finish your thought, and then you can
around
drink.
us.
Or
Jeez.
don't. Just drink. Don't listen to me.
Trooper,
It's just my
trooper.
fucking show.
Our show. Jesus, JT.
Generative-
Yeah.
It really gets worse.
Yeah,
It does,
it's an
it
It
after-
really does. How is that
after thing.
possible?
It's aftertaste kind of
It's
thing.
what it's made out of.
Chase it down.
Seahorses.
Chase it down.
I bet you Malort's made from seahorses, okay?
Do you think most of the people in your audience see artificial intelligence as chat gunner pussy techno?
Wow.
and it's just like this.
Beep that one out.
This little prompt thing they can go into this chat bar and ask it questions and write me an article or tell me what you think about the world, or do they see it as something bigger than that?
Well, it's definitely bigger than that. We've used chatbots forever.
Oh, I think it's way bigger than that. Yeah.
Do
but-
you remember Clippy?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Remember what?
It's like a
On
Microsoft,
Microsoft Word?
little
Clippy
Yeah.
from Microsoft
Oh, I
Word.
know.
assistant.
Way back when, yes, the Office
Assistant.
digital assistant from many
Chad
years ago.
was the one who ran He was Clippy.
So we've had these metaphors with computers for forever, just to help us use and interact with,
Yes.
with computers, right? The difference, though, with generative artificial intelligence is the content that's being created is itself unique. It's derived from
Fair
the
enough.
large language model, together with prompts from user interaction. So it is completely different than the types of bots we've used for the last couple of decades.
Let me ask what JD asked though. Do you think the general audience understands the scope of it? Or do we still just, as a general, see it as something we can create a question to and get an answer from?
I think most people right now view it as novel and are using it to the extent that they are very
I
much
would
along
agree.
those lines.
I don't think
Yes.
the average person is seeing it as a way to advance the business that they're working in. Maybe a way to create efficiency within
So
the
did you
business
touch
they're at.
on that? Did you start to show them like this can go beyond that little chat bar?
Oh, absolutely. There,
know.
and it already is.
Oh, I know.
We are only scratching the surface here of what's possible. I use this system every single day. It is a personal assistant. It is an executive assistant. It's become a data analyst. I'm incorporating it actively into our businesses, and look, it opens up a whole range of fair questions around ethics and property ownership and copyright. But look, the technology is here. It is staring us in the eyes, and if we don't adapt,
do you think we'll see it used in our industry first as like a service thing, like a communication thing, where a client might ask it questions and it would answer, or it might provide
I think it has
financial planning at some level?
Yes.
Or do you see it as an internal operational thing that replaces workers and lowers overhead? I mean, what do you think comes first, or?
all of that
boys.
will come. But as it relates to worker displacement, I remain an optimist here. I think, though there will be jobs lost,
It's also just a tool that could.
I think there's going to open up new opportunities. Things that we haven't. Remember this: social media was not even an industry pre-2007. Now it's enormous in the tech sector. The internet's only been, broadly speaking, around since the 90s in its more modern form. So when we think about business disruptions that have occurred, that have dislocated workers over the last few decades, there's always new and emergent opportunities that get created. I am an optimist on this, but make no mistake, there will be disruption. I think in our industry specifically, when it comes to customer service, client-facing experiences, and yes, financial planning, Chad mentioned how do you do things at scale? This provides an
So
opportunity
you're
for
excited
that.
about that area of it? 'Cause
Very
that's a
much
pretty.
so.
Seems like a pretty logical straight line to. You can create a large language model
Mm-hmm.
that is customized and unique to, say, a plan sponsor's specific provisions in their plan or investment options available, and you could train an artificial intelligence solution to answer questions like, not
Absolutely.
generally, just very specific to, like, Joe Smith could call in and be like, does my plan have a safe harbor match, and what are our target date fund options, and what's
Those
the
are
cost?
black and white answers.
Right.
More of what should I be doing? I'm 35 years
consultative.
old and I'm married
right.
and I have this, and I think that that's where we need and will be getting to.
Or the marriage of both of those things, because much better to get
Yeah.
a consultative answer
You're
that's
right.
not just generic, it's actually specific to that
To those
individual's
provisions
actual
and
thing.
Respond
That's
to
right.
that though.
So that's to you
That
exciting.
goes to
That's
the
where
efficiency. I think
It
they'll
is
love that.
absolutely fascinating to me. Now, there, like I
about-
said, the
Hold
other
on.
doors that
Bring
it
it up.
opens, it is equally fascinating and terrifying. because regulators are so much on their back heels here. Public policymakers have no clue where things are right now in this space.
Because regulators can't hold anybody's feet to the fire? What's the issue there?
The tech is, I'll give you a specific example. I shredded my presentation a couple weeks ago because at that point, what I was prepared to discuss was already obsolete.
Right.
So I actually asked Chief to check the system.
Yes.
Does that stand for generative personal technician?
The acronym actually is reflected in the PowerPoint slides that I'd put together, and
You just can't
unfortunately now,
remember, you dummy.
It's escaping me. Yes.
Okay.
It's the Malort talking.
It might be as
Seahorse.
Yeah, it's constantly
Excrement.
evolving,
yes.
changing at such a fast pace. What we say today could be totally different 3 months from now.
Very much so.
Yeah, and then we've never seen. Sounds cliche, but it's really, really true. Especially once you get involved with it, we've never seen something change so quickly, like evolve so quickly as this stuff.
I'm not sure we've seen anything
It hasn't
with
scratched
this
the
much
surface yet.
opportunity. Yeah.
It's as big as it's bigger, in fact, than the internet. In fact, if people are not making use of it today, start. It costs $20 per month for the premium
just to
version, and
have
I'm
the-
not some OpenAI spokesperson here.
Yeah.
Here, hey, try some of this. You might like it better.
Yeah, but you drank out of it. You can't share. It's germs. Weird.
That's sake, and it's delicious. And
Oh,
that
actually,
green
I'd rather
tea.
like some. Yeah.
Do you think that most
Put
of
it right
Put
here.
up the acronym leaderboard because I have 0. Just so in case anyone's wondering.
when you talk about
Go for it, Mark.
authorities and
Not
regulation,
doing it.
and maybe you're thinking like Securities and Exchange Commission, and because I think a lot of the companies that want to use artificial intelligence seem to be, at least the front runners, seem to be people in the wealth management, planning, investment side of things. And I'm talking big companies,
Sure.
the Fortune 500 companies. This is where they're putting their resources because this is where money's at. And sure, that's going to get regulated, and there's going to be some roadblocks or some speed bumps and some things. I think this industry will adapt and fine, give them rules. They'll figure out how to deal with those rules. But there's all kinds of other areas where you could use artificial intelligence that don't have those same type of regulations.
So more from the, I'll give you a specific example. How do you enforce copyright and property ownership in this new space? Who owns it?
No idea.
Yeah.
Because original content, again, you're using a generative artificial intelligence system, which
I'll give
is,
you the analogy. Could you, maybe you guys know this, you have friends and stuff in Silicon Valley. Could you copyright code back in the day?
Oh.
You still do, don't they?
You could, Brandon
Yeah.
says you could? Okay. I thought you were
I
going to
would
say
think
no.
so.
And I'd say same thing. It's like, it's a tool. You can't copyright how you're using it or whatever, It's like saying, I'm going to copyright how I
How
type
would
on my
you get
keyboard.
it, though? Much like
Yeah.
how would you get the code at that point? Someone would have to give you access. If you're creating your own system off the artificial intelligence and
Oh, bro.
Well, the code is one thing, but
Yeah.
it's the person doing the coding that's really the
So
thing that you
it's-
need.
If I can explain something to
No,
you,
that's- I'm
and other
asking,
people,
'cause I don't know.
and maybe people out there, you can buy open artificial intelligence
for sure.
and use it beyond chat.
yes.
I know
whatever.
that, but I'm saying
And you can bring that intelligence to create your own large language
Agreed, I get
model
that.
and use it in conjunction. You can.
But how would somebody else get access to that? What you have personally created and that database of large language.
Any way you want to deliver it to them, you deliver it to them through a software.
No,
you
but I'm
deliver
saying
it to
I
them-
couldn't then get access to what you have created, right?
Oh, right.
That's
So
right.
it's walled off. Why do I need a
that's-
trademark?
So
if
that's
you
what I
can't?
mean is I wouldn't be able to get
that
it
instance
otherwise.
is very different, right? So you open up the application program interface, you build your own custom tech that interfaces with a large language model. There, it's a little bit
You teach it,
more
you
clear.
prompt
you teach
it,
exactly.
you
There,
evolve it.
it's clear. It's unambiguous in that case who owns it. You built the system that's interfacing with
We
the
could
large language
steal
model.
it or something. I don't know.
But more along the lines of if I navigate to the artificial intelligence platform and I set up a series of prompts and it helps me to write a book, as an example, is it my book? If I'm relying on the content that was
right.
generated from the large
Or-
language model, is it the software developers who built the large language model?
No,
Is
it's
it-
No,
yours.
because there's so many.
But
Or
do we know this or are we presuming
We're
this?
presuming this.
Right?
Yeah, we're
so
for
these
sure.
are the open questions that I think will. What about deep fakes as an example
Yeah.
when it comes to content
I
generation?
got a fun one. Did you ever see on social media the Kanye song that artificial intelligence wrote? He wrote a new artificial
recently,
intelligence wrote a new Kanye rap, not supporting Kanye. And
Are you?
it's like if you heard it, you'd be like, "Holy shit, Kanye's on fire, bro!" And it's not Kanye.
He sounds like
it's
Eminem.
artificial intelligence. Whose is that? Like you can ask artificial intelligence right now.
The way you pronounce it.
Have Jimi Hendrix play me a Miley Cyrus song.
That's right.
And have Elton John sing on it.
Yeah.
And write the lyrics by fucking Taylor Swift, and it'll create something for you.
So who owns that?
I just made that shit up. I
But
should
that's
own that.
right.
No, yeah, but that's
Is there any way to
If you're
grade
using someone else's image and likeness,
Yeah.
again, so many unanswered questions.
Yeah.
Now, what if
I
you're
think
that
there's a
artist?
very big difference between using someone's image and likeness, obviously even sports has gone through that,
True.
versus just using something to produce a result, right? Where it's creating it, but it's still an original thought. It'd be like saying, if I create a new guitar solo, that I'm supposed to give that money to the maker of the guitar because they created it, so it makes
Yes.
the noise that I make.
Right.
It's not true.
No, you
right?
did it
And
yourself.
I made that. I prompted it correctly to make that
But
noise.
if you copy my
good
chords in the same sequential thing that I made 5 years before you, and you go make money from it, I can sue you.
Yeah, that's always been the
no,
case,
that
though.
makes that
Already
that's
existed. Somebody else
exactly
already
what
did it.
exists right now. Yeah.
So we'll figure out the laws around it.
There's no doubt. I guess the tech is moving so quickly.
It's incredibly
Policies-
confusing.
they're
You can't
not
keep
keeping
up.
Right?
Do you-
I see even in
can-
our space.
Can you speak to? I look at the tech that's being created and think we're going to use it for efficiency first, and that's going to be around, I think,
You just spin the wheel
servicing,
again.
Yep.
and then secondarily it will go to
That'd be
operations.
fun. First time
I think that's
ever.
probably true. I'd like to think that most people in the service sector try to view things through the lens of their clients' experiences. At least I would hope so. So I think you're right. That's probably how we would see it evolve sequentially.
That to me is interesting because we are a service-focused business, and operations are a byproduct of what we're all trying to do. I think that we're missing the mark right now, that there are a lot of organizations spending money on using this to provide advice, for example, like you said earlier in the asset management side. I think that less are looking at it as what was a chatbot 3 years ago and saying, how can we integrate the provisions of a plan? How can
Yes.
we integrate the needs of a specific client in a geographical location and what likely is the outcome
the
of this
data.
participant's question, and use artificial intelligence to really create a high-level service model for that individual? I think we've gone operations first as an industry.
Here's the crazy thing. We have that ability right now. And when I say we, I don't mean like big corporations. I mean small business, mom and pop, on a very affordable budget could do exactly what you just talked about. And I knew you were going to say that because years ago, you came to me and said he wanted to have on our website like the little chat thing where our clients could go and like ask it questions like,
Sure.
hey, and we would program at the time.
prompt it
This is
for
pre-artificial.
frequently
we would
asked
basically
questions.
just
That was
flow
a big
chart it,
thing.
right?
That's right.
Like
Like
this
a
crazy
decision tree,
flow
yeah.
chart,
Yeah.
decision tree,
Yeah.
the massive decision tree. And I was like, Chad, who the fuck is gonna go on our website and ask this stupid thing questions? And by the way, who the fuck is gonna build this massive decision tree of all these things and yada yada yada? And I kind of poo-pooed his idea and was like, this is crazy talk. And now with artificial intelligence, you really don't need to create the tree.
That's right.
You just have to teach the system and then give it the data that you're talking about, which we already have, and say, hey, here's the data. Here's what we want you to do. It's like a child. You just bring it along, and it is.
You have
teach
to
it.
teach the person too to ask
But
the
by the way,
correct
children
prompting,
fight
to ask
back, okay?
The right
This
question.
other option does not fight
It's
back.
like when
Oh, it
I
does.
Yes.
talk with family
In a world.
members and I say,
it
try,
doesn't, like,
try to do this.
stomp its feet.
They talk to it like it's a computer instead of talking to artificial intelligence like it's another human being. And when you do it, when you ask it like I would ask you a question, it comes back the right answer. But when you try
I
to
wanna
get an
end the
answer
show.
out of it, you screw it
I
up.
want to end the show, and I want to ask the two of you, and if you guys want to chime in, you can.
Wow, I was gonna say just getting shunned out of that question. Yeah.
Right back to where,
not.
right back to what we were just talking about. Do you think right now, if TPAs across
Well-
the country
Oh Lord.
or your own could have that today on the
Or
site,
your own. Hey, we're on this now.
would your clients like it and use it, or would they prefer to call into that classic client service person, and don't give me the classic CNBC I'll drink answer. Like, give me it from your heart. Like, do you think people would use this thing, or?
I think within the next couple of years, we won't even know that we're using it, and it will be part of our everyday.
So
And I don't think we're too far away from
It
that.
could be a verbal answer on a phone.
That's right.
From artificial
even the people who
intelligence.
prefer the
Yeah,
calls.
I've called
yeah.
myself a number
Great
of times
answer.
so far.
That
What
was
about you?
one of my biggest things.
He trumped me with the voice because I agree with you. Sorry, and your thought on
Go
it.
ahead. Are people going? I think I answered my own question later on. Was it's going to be a generational thing, and how advanced the tech is? Because we all right now hate talking to prompts, and the only way we get away
The
with
classic prompts.
only way we get away
hate
from
talking
that
to people.
is if we can tell we're not talking to prompts and we think we're talking to people. Otherwise, I don't think people
What if
go
you
that route.
knew you're talking to artificial intelligence, but the experience is so flawless you don't care?
I think it's a generational thing. I think
You
once
might,
you get used to
you
that,
might
that's the only
like
thing you
that
know,
better.
you'll be fine.
You might be like, son of a bitch, I got an actual person this time. God damn it. I want the system
Yeah.
that's like flawless. Your thoughts, Chad, put the voice aside.
No.
Just that simple little box on the screen.
Yes, and so I think in the way you positioned it earlier, my chatbot thought was not about a client calling in and saying, hey, what are my provisions? What's my eligibility? It was more sales focused, which to me was service focused. Think of the questions we get all the time. All the frickin' time about ownership relations and attribution law and how much can I save in this scenario and I've got 15 employees. If we can use artificial intelligence to service
not
the
need it.
advisor that wants to ask that question and wants an answer immediately, that's where I see massive value. And to answer your direct question, yes, I think that as a community, as long as we're getting them the result that is the right result and in a timely fashion, every single client, being an advisor or the clients they bring into us, want that option.
I agree, but so right now, if we need some type of determination made, we say go to an attorney. Is it going to be to a point where we
You
can
can still
ask
do that.
artificial intelligence, and we know it's going to give us the right answer, but can we use that as
No,
legal?
you're not going to be able to
binding?
use that as an illegal opinion. But
So-
but
And by
that's
the way,
where
it'll
an
tell you right
Employee
now.
Retirement Income Security Act attorney steps in and issues a legal opinion. We give them
So
guidance. We
they
say
should charge
this is like
$2,000
one
tenth
of what they're
Do
charging
you know
now,
that chat blah 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 right
they're-
now
hold on, hold on.
already says that at the bottom every
Yeah.
time if you ask it?
Yep.
I didn't
Says
know
you
that.
should seek out like
Oh,
legal
yeah, I have
and
seen-
or
I have
account
seen
an
those
accountant.
type of prompts, but I mean, so if the attorney is doing that, I'm not saying they are, but if they
Okay.
go to do that, and that's what they use for their legal advice,
They're,
What are we
they're
talking
issuing
about
a
here?
legal opinion,
Yes.
so that's on them now.
This
That's
Venn
their
diagram is going to
licensing.
happen. This plan will happen. This will be a part of our life.
It will.
Fred Reish
For
or
sure.
the new Fred Reish will come along and he will use this large language model to help him answer the question. The same way
I'm doing it
the
already.
same way he or she used to use Tripodi's ERISA outline book to go, oh, what did I do?
Employee Retirement Income Security
You
Act.
know what I mean? It'll be a tool the same way. You remember the good old ERISA
Yeah,
outline book and
course.
whatever.
Jeez, JD.
I don't know what you're saying.
You just said it again.
Beer?
I'm
I got a
saying
beer.
the words.
The
you a
Tripodi
beer?
what
She wants
outline
one.
book? Employee Retirement Income Security Act.
Fuck. I usually say the three letters. I thought I was being.
There's little doubt in my mind that someone is going to train extensively chat,
Yes.
generative
General
pre-trained
practitioner
transformer.
training.
Is that
It
it?
is, I believe so. Generative pre-trained transformer on the entirety of the Employee Retirement Income Security Act.
Oh, people are working on it right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
start making the.
We can give a shout out to our chat bar buddy Tony Davis. His K-bot is no secret,
No, he's got it out
and
there.
he's
And
been
it's
working on a large language model. You can ask it questions, and just like anything, it's got to learn. And he loves when it gets something wrong or doesn't know something. He's like, "Tell me,"
Dude.
and then he just dumps more info on it.
I asked it a question maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago that was inaccurate in an answer, and I knew it, and I sent that back. Within 4 minutes, it had the right answer now.
Yeah, because he
Like,
feeds
what
it,
about
He
trains
feeds it. It's impressive. That stuff is so
Tell
cool.
that one from Friday or Thursday.
No, I'll tell that off
That
air.
was so good.
You can
Did you have a
basically.
hallucination from the system?
No,
it was-
I had to do something for me
That was
that
it.
Yeah, we're
was
wrapping.
incredible.
Oh, okay.
In terms of workflow, it was awesome.
Remember, we don't always go 60 minutes anymore. We flow sometimes.
I'm just curious.
We're doing a 3-hour version today.
Okay, cool.
Oh boy.
We're going to do something we've never done, though. I'm going to let Mark announce it after I thank you, Petros, for being our guest.
Oh, thank you. This is a
Thank
lot of
you.
fun. I
Yes, we
appreciate
really
the opportunity
appreciate
here.
it.
Cheers. Truly, thank
I
you.
don't even think we had your brother on the show before, did we?
We haven't.
We just kind of hung out with him and Oahu. By the way, can you put in a good word for us? We don't want to do a lot of conferences going forward. We'd like to cherry pick them.
Yes.
But we definitely like ones in the Hawaiian Islands.
Hawaii
So
is beautiful.
If he's
Truly,
gonna,
I understand that.
If he's gonna do that shit anymore, are they doing it this year?
And to be honest, I'm not certain. I don't
Wow,
know. Yeah.
nice brotherly connection you guys have. Do you talk ever with each other?
Depends on the
You know-
day.
Did you? Was that who you texted earlier?
Just let him know.
Yeah.
Got the bubbles going.
That
Hey,
sake is rough.
Justin,
Hey,
spin the wheel.
just okay.
That's
Hey,
the announcement.
Everyone, thank you for tuning
Is
in.
it really?
Yeah,
We,
we're going double. We're going double.
We got the
Oh,
401k Go guide tomorrow.
Oh,
and
no.
Hold it up. Oh fuck!
yeah,
They
we'll see
ruined
you
it.
soon.
Yeah.
Mark says we're gonna do first time ever wheel of ice twice. What?
I
Spin
rolled
it.
ice twice.
We
You're
I
right.
did, and then he just moved it.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, your face came off, Justin. You got a drink.
Quit moving it.
That's an everybody.
That's
Okay,
a Chad.
everybody. Thank you. We are the Retireholics. We are changing the retirement plan industry one
Don't worry,
beer
that's not you.
at a time. See you later, everybody.
Oh my gosh.